Okay, spacing. What is spacing? Spacing is the distance between two successive vehicles in a traffic lane, and it is measured from a common reference point. And that common reference point is basically the point or the element of the vehicle from where you are measuring the distance. Okay, so for example, if I have two vehicles, this one and this one, okay, and I decide that my reference point will be the front bumper of both vehicles. So I will measure the distance between this vehicle to the next vehicle, front bumper to front bumper. That will be called as spacing. Okay, and obviously you can change your reference point, but it should be the common reference for both vehicles. So if you say I will use front wheels, then it should be from front wheel to the front wheel of the next vehicle and so on. So the reference point should be common. So spacing is not the same as gap. Keep it in mind. Okay? Don't get confused with it. Gap is the clear distance between the two vehicles. This one, and spacing is including, you can see the length of the vehicle as well. So this is spacing, and for measuring the spacing, now spacing obviously cannot be measured when two vehicles are moving. You will measure the spacing when the vehicles are stopped, both of them are stopped. Okay, you can measure it in that condition, or you can take a picture and then you can measure it from the picture or a satellite image or whatever. So spacing, cannot be measured for all conditions. And spacing is related to usually the reference point for measuring spacing is the front bumper, because front bumper is the first thing you see in a vehicle. So usually spacing is measured from front bumper to front bumper, but other reference points are also allowed, but it should be same. It should be common between two vehicles. Now spacing is related to density. Spacing is related to density. Now if you want to calculate density using spacing, then you cannot do it by using one value of spacing. Then you should take multiple values, and then you will get the average of those values to calculate density. So for calculation of density, I cannot use spacing for a single value spacing. I will use the average spacing, which is taken from multiple values. Okay, so you can see here the d is the density, and small d is the spacing, and dA is basically indicating the average. Okay, so A is basically indicating the average. So density is basically the inverse of spacing. This equation says density is inverse of spacing. Why? What is the logic behind it? Density we defined earlier is vehicles per mile. So vehicle per unit distance. Density is vehicle per unit distance. And what is the spacing? Spacing is distance per vehicle. Distance per vehicle. Why? Because after d distance, what will happen? Next vehicle. Okay. And then after another distance d, you will have the next vehicle. Then after another distance, I'm talking about the average, right? So average means, so if I calculate the average and it comes out to be 200 feet, so it means what? After every 200 feet, on average, I have another vehicle. Okay, so this is distance to the next vehicle. Distance to the next vehicle. So I can call it distance per vehicle. So density is vehicle per distance, and spacing is, or the average spacing is density is vehicle per distance, and average spacing is distance per vehicle. So obviously when you take the inverse of one, you will get the other. Okay, so this equation should have been d equals 1 upon dA, right? Capital D equals 1 upon small dA. What is this 5280 doing here? I told you the logic is very simple. One is vehicles per unit per distance, and the other one is distance per vehicle. Then you should take the simple inverse. D equals 1 upon dA. What is this 5280? Can someone tell me? The answer is written with the equation. If you pay attention, you will get your answer. What is this 5280 in this equation?
Conversion rate.
Yeah, the conversion rate, because density is vehicles per mile. You can see it here. And the spacing obviously will be in feet. So you need a conversion rate. So this is the conversion factor here from feet to miles. And if you are using meters, then the spacing will be in meters and the density will be in kilometers. So you know the conversion factor will be 1000, right? Meters to kilometers, the conversion factor is 1000. Okay. Then we have the other microscopic parameter, which is the headway. Headway is a time interval between two successive vehicles as they are passing through a point along a lane, and it is again measured from a common reference of both vehicles. Okay, so it is a time interval between two successive vehicles to pass over a given point of your lane and measured for a common reference of both vehicles. Okay, so for example, this is your observation point. Okay, so you are observing the headway of vehicles as they are passing through this point. Okay, so when vehicle 1 passes it, okay, or the reference point of vehicle 1 passes it, let's say the front bumper, so you will start measuring the time. Okay, so let me call it vehicle 1. Okay, there's another vehicle behind it, let me call it vehicle 2. Okay, so when vehicle 2 reaches this point, this will give you the headway. So the headway started when vehicle 1 passed you, and the headway will be till the time vehicle 2 will pass you. And again, when I say vehicle 2 is passing, that means the reference point of the vehicle 2 is passing. So if it is a front bumper, then it is when the headway started when the front bumper of vehicle 1 passed you, and it will be till the time when front bumper of vehicle 2 passed you. Okay, so it should be for a common reference. And again, headway is also related to flow rate. Okay, so you can see here we are relating microscopic characteristics with macroscopic characteristics. Okay, headway and spacing are microscopic and flow rate density are macroscopic, and we are relating them to each other. So you can see here the relationship that flow rate, which is small v, is the inverse of, again, average headway. So when you are calculating macroscopic parameters using headway and spacing, you cannot rely on one value, because obviously flow rate and these things are for the whole they are for the group of vehicles. This is how I define between, or how we differentiate between macroscopic and microscopic, right? That microscopic is for one or pair of vehicles, and macro is for the group of vehicles all together, aggregated. So obviously you cannot take value between any two vehicles and call it okay and generalize it to all the complete group of vehicles. So for that you need the average values. So again, you will take multiple headways, calculate the average, and then put it in this equation to calculate the flow rate. And again, what is the logic behind it? Basically, we are saying headway is inverse of flow rate. Headway is inverse of flow rate. Okay, so what are we doing here? We are just why are we taking the inverse? Because flow rate means vehicles per unit time. Flow rate means vehicles per unit time, and headway is, or the average headway is, time per vehicle. Time per vehicle. So for example, if your headway is 3 seconds, so after 3 seconds what will happen? Another vehicle will pass. Okay, so if you say my average headway is 3 seconds, so you are saying on average after every 3 seconds I will have another vehicle. On average after every 3 seconds I have another vehicle. So this is basically time per vehicle. Okay, so time per vehicle is inverse of vehicle per time. Okay, so very simple here. And what is this 3600 in this equation? The conversion of, yes, you see V equals 3600 upon HA, right? So 3600 is for what? Converting to?
From hours to seconds.
From hours to seconds, or seconds to hours. Okay, so this is very simple. And what about what are the units in this equation? Is this in feet or meters? Is this equation in feet or meters?
Meters.
Meters. Anybody else? Anybody else? Just guess. I'll not deduct your marks right now.
It doesn't matter if it was feet or meter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. We are using vehicles and time. They both of them, vehicles will remain vehicles, and time will remain seconds and hours. Doesn't change. Okay. Where do we use microscopic parameters? What is the reason of having microscopic parameters? Macroscopic parameters are used for traffic flow analysis. Macroscopic parameters, speed, flow, and density. You will see in the remaining parts of this course, we will be discussing more about macroscopic parameters, speed, flow, and density. Give me a second. Okay, so what is the reason of having microscopic parameters? Microscopic parameters are used when you are trying to study individual or different types of vehicles or different types of drivers. Okay, so for example, you just want to study how a truck moves in the traffic stream. Okay, then you will take the individual speed of trucks and headway and spacing for trucks and so on. Okay. And this is very common. Okay, if you are using any software, these softwares work on using the average headway and the spacing for different types of vehicles when you are defining the types of vehicles. Okay, if I have if you have, like I said, you will use your BISM software for your analysis, then you can see it here in BISM that they are mentioning the speed. When you define the type of vehicle, they will mention the speed. Okay, but that is for the last part of your project. Okay, I will give you the tutorial later on. So for studying different types of vehicles, we use microscopic parameters. Another application is to study different types of drivers, and this is what we did in one of the senior design project. So let me show it to you. Okay, one of my senior design project students, they tried to study the effect of mobiles and children in the car on the behavior of the driver, and behavior of drivers from different age groups. Okay, so they studied in terms of speed and headway. I told you earlier, spacing, it's very difficult to measure because then you have to stop, both cars have to be stopped. Okay, or you have to take it from a camera or something. Okay, so they went for simple measurement, which was for speed and headway. So you can see here, these are speeds for different age groups, and each column is for a different use of mobile phone or handling the children, and this is without doing anything. Okay, so we can compare that when the driver was not doing anything, was his speed higher or lower than when he was handling the children or busy with a mobile phone. And similarly, you can compare the speed of teen drivers, young drivers with old drivers, okay, and so on and so forth. Okay, similarly the case with the headway as well. They studied the headway as well. So you want to study specific types of drivers like young and old, or you want to study the effect of some activity on the driver, like being busy with a mobile phone, then you will use the headway and spacing and microscopic parameters basically to study the behavior. Okay, because then now you are not considered with all the vehicles, you are only considered with small portion of the vehicles. So whenever you are dealing with a small portion of vehicles, either because of different types of drivers or because of different types of vehicles, you will use microscopic parameters. Another use of microscopic parameters is that you can use the average values of headway and spacing to calculate macroscopic parameters. Like I've already shown you, density and flow rate. So similarly, you can also calculate speed as well using average headway and spacing. You can calculate speed as well, and this is the equation. Okay, so average is spacing is dA, average headway is HA, and D means distance, H means time. So distance upon time gives you speed, right? Distance upon time gives you speed. And what is this 1.47? Again, you should know, we have used it earlier as well. 1.47 is what? Yeah, 1.47. We have used it just in the last chapter. (1.47). Speed is distance upon time.
Convert.
Yeah, say again.
To convert the unit.
Yeah, the convert units, because spacing is in feet and the headway is in seconds, and you need the speed in miles per hour, right? So this is the conversion factor from feet per second to miles per hour. So you are dividing it, and 1 upon 1.47 will give you 0.68. Now, what is the logic behind it? Okay, why we are saying 2 average spacing upon average headway will give you the speed. Let me put it here. So you have 2 vehicles here. Okay. The spacing between the vehicles, the average spacing is dA, right? So for this vehicle to come from this point to this point, how much time it will take? HA. This is how we defined HA, right? The vehicle to come to the same observation point, the time taken by the second vehicle to come to the same observation point, right? So while this vehicle is traveling this distance, how much distance the vehicle is traveling in HA, which is equal to dA. Okay, so you have the time and you have the distance. Okay, and both are related to the same segment of the road. So you do d upon HA, you will get the speed. Okay, so this is in miles per hour. This will give the speed in miles per hour, and if you want the speed in kilometers per hour, then you use this. And just note that in this case, for the second equation, d will be in meters, and obviously h will remain in seconds. Okay. Let us do a couple of examples here very quickly. We have a congested multi-lane highway. The spacing is 200 feet. Average headway is 3.8 seconds. We have to find out the rate of flow, density, and speed of traffic. Okay. Let us start with the flow. So flow is 5280 upon, no, sorry, not 5280. It's 3600 upon the headway, right? So how much is it?
$947.3.
Okay, so 947 vehicles per hour per lane. Now keep in mind, if you are using headway and spacing to calculate flow rate or density, then it will be by default per lane. By default per lane, because obviously headway and spacing is measured between 2 vehicles which are in the same lane, right? So whatever you are estimating from using those values will be per lane. Okay, so let us now calculate density here. So density equals 5280 now. 5280 will come here upon spacing. How much?
26.4.
Yeah. 26.4 vehicles per mile per lane, again, like I said earlier. Okay, then speed, the conversion factor was 0.68, and I'll just directly put the value. So 200 upon 3.8.
35.7.
35.7 miles per hour. Okay, in case of speed, there is no per lane. Speed is just miles per hour, kilometers per hour. There is no per lane there. Okay, let us do another example here. For a traffic stream, average headway is given and speed is given. Now, which speed is this? This is SMS. Okay, this is SMS, and the speed which I have calculated using the headwind spacing, the average headwind spacing is also SMS, space mean speed. Okay, I have told you earlier yesterday that in traffic flow analysis we always use space mean speed. So whatever speed, whenever I say speed here, by default I mean space mean speed. Okay. So headway is given, space mean speed is given. We have to find out the density and rate of flow. Rate of flow, no problem. V equals 3600, okay, over 2.4. No problem. How much?
1500.
1500 vehicles per hour per lane. Okay, what should I do about density? Remember, density is the inverse of average spacing. I don't have average spacing here. What should I do?
But we have the speed.
So you have the speed, and you know the relationship between speed and headway and spacing. So
55, doctor.
Yeah, speed is 55. You know, writing the equation. So I want dA. Okay, and headway is given 2.4.
194.1.
So dA is 194.1 feet. Okay, now you can calculate density. Easy now, right? 5280 upon dA. How much?
27.2.
How much? 27.2.
Yes.
27.2.
Okay, 27.2 vehicles per hour, sorry, per mile per lane. Okay. So we have discussed the relationship between microscopic parameters, and obviously if they are related to each other, then microscopic parameters can also be, you know, like you did in the previous example. From headway you calculated spacing using the speed, right? So now headway and spacing relationships are done with each other and as well as with flow, speed, and density. Now, what is the relationship between macroscopic parameters? The three macroscopic parameters, flow, speed, and density. The relationship is given here. You can see the equation on the top. V means flow, S means speed, and D means density. So flow equals speed into density. Flow equals speed into density. This is known as the basic equation of traffic flow, or the basic equation of traffic flow theory. This is the main equation on the basis of which all other equations related to traffic flow are driven. Okay, and we will drive it inshallah in the next class. But this is the main equation here. Now, if you are measuring flow like you have done in your term project as well, how did you do it? You stood at one point beside the highway, and you started counting the cars which were passing in front of you, right? So flow is by default measured over a point. Flow is by default measured over a point. When you say 200 vehicles pass, you will tell me 200 vehicles pass from this point. Okay. Speed. Now here we are talking about space mean speed, as I told you in the last slide as well. We are always using space mean speed. So space mean speed is for the whole segment. For calculation of space mean speed, if you go back to the equation, you will see that we need the travel time of the whole segment. Okay, so space mean speed is for the whole segment. Okay, and then D. What are the units of D? Density. density is vehicles per we just did it in the previous two examples. Density is vehicles per what? Anyone? Density is vehicles per what? Vehicles per hour, vehicles per mile, vehicles per lane.
Per
What?
hour and lane.
Vehicles per hour density. Come on. In the last two examples, we just calculated density.
Per mile.
Per mile, yes. Thank you. If you are forgetting so quickly, then I will have an easy exam, like for myself, because then you will be getting 0, 0, 0, 0. For me, it will be very easy. Okay, for you, it will be very easy as well, because you will not remember anything and you will leave it blank. Don't forget so quickly, huh? Use your brains. Focus. Okay, so density is vehicles per mile. So obviously, per mile means the length of the segment, right? Per mile means it's the length of the segment. So speed and density are for the whole segment. And flow is for a point. Now, if you tell me I measured speed and density over this segment, for example, this is my segment between these two lines. Okay, so I measured density for the whole segment and I measured the speed between the two for the whole segment as well. Okay, using the travel time of the whole segment. And I multiplied them and I gave you the value of flow. Then your question will be, this flow I can on which point of this segment I can observe this flow. You gave me a value of V, let's say 1800. On which point should I stand to get this value of 1800? On which point of the segment should I stand to count 1800 cars passing me? Because I have to select a point, right? So this is where the limitation of this equation comes into play. This equation can give you flow, or the flow which you are getting from this equation will remain same on all points of the segment, if the segment is uniform and you have a stable flow conditions. So there are two limitations. Okay, the flow calculated from this equation will remain same on all points of the segment if you fulfill two conditions. The segment is uniform and the flow is stable. What do we mean by uniform segment? Uniform segment means the design of the road is the same. Same number of lanes, lane width, shoulder width, median, everything is same. Curvature, gradient, whatever the design of the road is, it doesn't change from a start point. Then the flow will remain constant. It will not change on any point of the segment. Second, stable conditions. Stable conditions we haven't discussed. This will come after that. Okay, what do we mean exactly by stable conditions? But basically, it means when you do not have any traffic jam. These are known as stable conditions. When vehicles are moving constantly. Without any queue, without any stoppage, they are moving. These are stable conditions. Okay, so this will give you the flow. This equation will give you a flow on any points of the segment under this condition. Okay, unstable conditions are when the vehicles start to form queue. They start to form a queue, a SUF, and whenever a vehicle enters, it has to stop because of the queue, and then it will move when it has the chance. So this is unstable. Stable is it enters and it keeps on moving till the end. This is stable. Okay, so this equation has these two limitations. Segment should be uniform in terms of design and the flow should be stable. Now, just to have quick two examples on the use of the basic equation of traffic flow. So we said flow equals speed into density, right? So if a lane of the freeway has SMS, so here again they are mentioning specifically space mean speed. Okay, so we use we prefer to use SMS over WhatsApp, right? No, there is space mean speed. So space mean speed is given, density is given. So speed and density will give you the flow rate of this lane. Okay, so 55 into 25, 1375 vehicles per hour lane. If you have a lane for which SMS is there, flow rate is there, then you can calculate density, right? You have flow, speed, and density. So if I give you 2, you can calculate the third one. So SMS 60 miles per hour, flow rate 1000. So flow upon speed will give you density. So you can see here flow 1000 divided by speed, density is 16.7 vehicles per mile per lane. Okay, so this is how you can use this equation. Now let us see how each two macroscopic parameters are related to each other. How two macroscopic parameters are related to each other. So you can see three graphs here between three different pairs of parameters. The first one, top left, between flow and density. Between flow and density. Now you can see here, if you start from the left hand side of the graph, so the flow is 0, density is 0. This is understandable. Density 0 means nobody on the highway, right? If nobody on the highway, then no flow. Then density increases, flow increases. Again, understandable. More people are coming and they are moving, so the flow is increasing as well. Until you reach the maximum point, which is the capacity, this point. Okay, so what is capacity? The maximum flow which can go through this highway, the maximum flow which can go through this segment. Okay, so that is capacity. So the flow increases, density increases until you reach capacity. After capacity, what is happening? More vehicles, the density is still increasing. The density is still increasing, so more vehicles are entering the segment. But now these vehicles are going into a forced flow or unstable flow condition, which is denoted by this dotted part of the curve. So the dotted part of the curve in all these three graphs are basically showing the forced flow or unstable flow conditions. So what happens in unstable flow? I told you earlier. Now vehicles do not have the space to move on, so they form a queue. And each new vehicle which enters, it is becoming part of the queue. Okay. So when the queue is getting longer, the flow keeps on decreasing and decreasing because now there's more hindrance for the vehicles to move. Okay. So density is increasing. That means the number of vehicles in the segment are increasing. The flow is decreasing. That means these vehicles are not leaving. They're just making the queue longer and longer. Okay. So they form a queue and the flow starts to decrease because of the queue, because now the vehicles have to stop when they enter the queue, when they join the queue, and they move very slowly. So the flow is decreasing, decreasing, decreasing until you reach this point when the density is maximum. The density is maximum. So at maximum density, what is happening is jam-packed, jam-packed, bumper to bumper, like we say. So nobody moves now. Nobody moves. The flow, the density is so high that there is no space for anybody to move. Okay. So this maximum value of density is known as jam density. Jam density. And the density which you have at capacity is known as critical density. Okay. So density at capacity is known as critical density. And the maximum density at which you will have zero flow is jam density. Okay. Then let us discuss the second curve, which is between flow and speed. And now I will start from the right hand side. Okay, this point. So when the flow is zero, the flow can be zero, like I have showed you in the first graph. The flow can be zero when density is zero or when the density is maximum. So on the right hand side of this curve, the flow is zero because of zero density. So zero density means no vehicle on the road. So at that point, the speed will be maximum. When density is zero, the speed will be maximum. Okay. Anybody enters can go at high speed. There is no other car. Okay, so the speed will be maximum. Then the flow increases because the density is increasing. So you can see the reduction in speed and the increase in flow. And again, you reach the maximum flow, which we called as the capacity. The speed which you attain at capacity is known as critical speed. This is critical speed. Okay. After capacity, we know what happens. The flow decreases, right? So you can see the flow is decreasing. The flow is decreasing because the more vehicles on the road, and there's no space for them to move, so the flow is decreasing. Okay, and the flow will keep on decreasing until it will reach zero. Now this zero is because of what? Because you have reached jam density. This flow has become zero. Flow on the left hand side has become zero. Left hand side of the curve has become zero because now you have reached maximum or the jam density, so there is no space for the vehicles to move. Okay, so the flow is zero when the density is zero. The flow is zero when the density is maximum as well. So obviously in that condition, speed will become zero as well. when the flow is 0 in unstable flow condition, in forced flow condition, when you reach dam density, then nobody is moving. That means the speed is now 0. Nobody is moving means the speed is 0, right? So at jam density, the speed is 0. The speed which you have, the maximum speed which you have, is known as free flow speed. The maximum speed which you can see on the right hand side part of the curve is known as free flow speed. This is the speed when density is 0. Speed when density is 0. Okay, and the speed when you reach capacity is known as critical speed. Okay, I think I mentioned earlier. Then we have the bottom graph, which is between density and speed. Density and speed. Okay, and you do not see any change in trend here. Again, I will start from the right hand side of the curve. So when density is 0, speed is maximum. We already mentioned it. And when density is increasing, the speed is reducing. More vehicles are entering, less gap, the speed keeps on reducing until you reach this point, maximum density. Okay, what did I call maximum density? Maximum density is called as what? What do we call maximum density? I just mentioned it, it's written on the slide as well. What do we call maximum density?
Jam density.
Jam density, yes, thank you. And what do we call maximum speed? So this is jam density, okay? This is jam density. And what do we call this maximum speed? What did I call it? Maximum speed when density is 0. What do we call it? Yeah, when density is 0, the speed is maximum. And what do we call that value of speed? Nobody remembers. Go on, have a guess. No, seriously? Okay. One question for the exam, right? Okay, so in each curve, in each graph, you can see two portions. You have the solid line and the dotted line. Now, what does solid and dotted line represent? You can see it from the top two graphs. The portion before capacity is solid line, the portion after capacity is dotted line. Okay, obviously there is no flow dimension here. There is no flow axis in the third graph, so we do not know when the flow reaches maximum. So how do we get this point? From where do we know that the stable flow has ended and the forced flow or unstable flow has started? From the values of critical density and critical speed. Okay, so from this graph you find out the value of critical density when the flow is maximum, and from this graph you find out the value of critical speed when the flow is maximum. Then you plot them on this graph and you join it on the curve. So where these two values are meeting on the curve, this is the end of the stable flow condition, the start of the unstable or forced flow condition. Okay, so for your convenience, they have mentioned 2 points on each graph, A and B, which are representing. So A is representing a stable flow condition and B is representing forced flow condition. So what is the difference between a stable flow and forced flow? You can see A and B both have the same values of flow. The flow value is V1 at A and B both. But at A, the density is lower, speed is higher. So A is here in this portion. And for B, density is higher and the speed is lower, which is in this portion. Okay, so you can have same value of flow, but in a stable flow and a forced flow condition. Okay, depending upon the value of speed and density. Okay, now this is the curve which I showed you between flow and speed. That was a simplistically assumed curve for making the equation. Okay, because we have to make some assumptions and keep the curves and lines simple so that eventually we can end up with some equations. Okay, but the real scenario, the actual scenario on the field is something different from the curves which we have. Okay, it's like, you know, now you are students, you are studying, and once you go in the field, everybody will be asking, what did you study? You don't know this, you don't know that, you don't know this. Okay, and you will be cursing us. And this is normally the case. Okay, we have done it, you will do it. Okay, and the generations which will come after you will also do it. Okay, you shouldn't, but you know, at least some of you will do it. So it's the same thing here. The curve does not or cannot show the actual behavior completely, the practical considerations of traffic flow completely. Okay, so this is a curve between speed and flow, and this is more realistic. Again, there is some smoothing of the curve here, but it is more realistic. Okay, so this is between speed and flow. So you can see the curve which I showed you between speed and flow was like this. It was something like this. Okay, at this point it meets here and then it continues. Okay, so there's not much difference in this part of the curve. The bottom part of the curve is almost the same, like this. But the top part, this is where the difference is. Okay, so you can see the top part is divided into three regions: region 1, region 2, region 3. Okay, region 1 is up to 0.1, region 2 is up between 1 and 2, and region 3 is from 0.2 and 3. Now what happens? You can see region 1 is almost a straight line. So the speed is not changing from 0 to this value of flow from till 0.1. So from 0 flow to 0.1, flow at 0.1, the speed is not changing. It's the free flow speed. It's the free flow speed. Okay, the speed with the maximum speed which you have. Then between 0.1 and 2, the speed is reducing, but it is reducing with a very mild slope, with a very low slope. Okay, so the speed is changing, but the change is not drastic. Okay, then from 0.2, you can see, so 0.2 is very high speed, and then you see the next value 0.3, very low, and this is happening almost at the same value of flow. So there's not much change in the flow, but the speed is changing a lot. Okay, so there's a very drastic change between 0.2 and 0.3. Okay, and then from 0.3 onwards, again the speed reduces gradually. Okay, so this is again stabilizing towards the end, stabilizing not in terms of traffic, but stabilizing in terms of the slope of the curve. So the curve is now becoming more smooth towards the end, but at the start it is facing a lot of interruptions, facing a lot of turbulence. Okay, so it's not a smooth shape at all till you reach 0.3, till your point. So you have a straight line, then you have a mild slope portion. Okay, and then you have a drastic change between 1, 2, and 3, and then you move on in region 4, which has a gradual decrease of speed till you reach the maximum density, the jam density, the zero flow condition. Okay. Now, point 1 is known as the break point. Point 1 is known as the break point. What is the break point? The flow till which drivers tend to maintain the free flow speed. The flow up to which the drivers tend to maintain the free flow speed. So the speed, they are saying at the start, the speed does not start to reduce with every vehicle added to the flow. There is a range of flow where the speed does not change at all. In the stable flow portion, when the density is lower, the speed does not change at all. This is what they're calling at region 1, and this region ends at the breakpoint flow point, the breakpoint flow value. Okay, why this happens? And then you can see from region 1 to region 2. Now region 1 and region 2 is very close to the capacity, right? You are almost at capacity, but still the speed is not decreasing that much. So maybe it was 60 here, then here it is going maybe 50 or something. So there's not much change between 1 and 2 as well, 0.1 and 2. Okay, so why the speed doesn't change at all in the first region, then it changes very slightly in the second region as you are getting close to the capacity. You should have more changes. Yeah, the actual smooth curve is like this one. It should change like this, gradually keep on changing and so on, but it doesn't happen because of the aggressive nature of modern drivers. modern drivers tend to be more aggressive. Okay, why they are more aggressive? Because they have better technology. They are more confident about their driving. They have, the driving techniques have improved, the vehicle technology has improved, the road design has improved. Okay, so all these things are making drivers more confident, more aggressive. Okay, so they tend to maintain higher speeds even when they are experiencing more cars around them. They feel they are skilled enough, they are secure enough to go at high speed even if they see increase in flow rate around them. Okay, so they don't reduce the speed, and when they are getting close to capacity, even at that time they reduce the speed very slightly. Okay, they do not reduce the speed drastically. Now what is happening at point 2? Point 2 is the capacity. Point 2 is the capacity. So what will happen after capacity? A traffic jam condition. So when they reach point 2, they are at very high speed. Okay, and they start to see a queue being formed. So from point 2 onwards, the queue starts to form. Now people cannot move from the queue until they reduce their speed. Otherwise, it will be dangerous, right? So at point 2, the queue starts to happen. The queue starts to begin, and from point 2 to point 3, they are just slowing down so they can maintain their flow. So you can see here, point 3 is known as queue discharge flow point. Queue discharge flow point. So at point 2, the queue started to begin till point 3. This is the formation of the queue. So the drivers are slowing down in response to the formation of the queue, and they are trying to stabilize and trying to save themselves by reducing their speed. So from point 2 to point 3, they reduce their speed, and then the queue starts to move on with the reduction in speed and so on and so forth. Okay, so from point 2 to point 3, drivers are trying to save themselves from an accident and trying to respond to the formation of the queue by reducing their speed. So they come towards the queue, they see there's a queue, so they drastically reduce their speed. Because before the queue, they were going very fast. Before they reach the queue, they go very fast. When they reach the end of the queue, they have to reduce suddenly their speed to a very low value. Okay, so this is region 3. This is what is happening in region 3. Drivers are responding to the formation of the queue by reducing their speed drastically, significantly. Okay, and then from point 3 onwards, it is a smooth curve. The speed is gradually decreasing till you reach the jam density. Okay, so this is the modern curve, but still for calculations, for equations, for estimation, we will use the equations of the curve which I showed you earlier. But just to give you a sense of what happens in the actual field. Okay, so you now you know it. Okay, Hissa Ahmad and Ali Khalil. Hissa Ahmad, Ali Khalil. Ali Khalil is here. Qusay Ahmad and Yusuf Nidam. Qusay is here. Yusuf?
Yes.
Okay. Havra Nasir and Ali Muhammad. Havra is here. Ali Muhammad. Okay. Sadiq Abdul Hussain. Balki Samad and Hala Munir. Okay, Hala Munir. Umar Walid and Abdul Rahman Muhammad. Umar Walid, Abdul Rahman Muhammad. Okay, Umar Walid. Sara Ali.